day
At work.
at work if you do 8 hours.
Yeah.
You at minimum
Mm-hmm.
on average. Some people work fewer hours depending on what your job is,
Yes, right.
but maybe you don't. Maybe you sometimes end up spending more time working because, especially if, like, if especially now we were talking about gig economy and people
Mm-hmm.
can get like a 3 hour job here and then you have
Right.
another gig there and you could end up spending more than 8 hours. So maybe soon enough these stats are out, but on average, if you do go by how long people work, 8 hours a
Mm-hmm.
day for a
Especially
job.
with remote working,
Yeah, but you
because
know
you tend to put in
more.
more.
And very soon after the remote work thing happened in the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic, they were all these HR specialists who watch productivity numbers were talking about how people on average were reporting to be spending an extra 4 hours at work
Oh, really?
between answering additional email
Mm-hmm.
and just stuff like that, just to keep up with what had happened. People were on average spending 4 more hours a week
Mm.
at work, when you do remote. Anyway, so you know what? Work can provide us with a sense of purpose. It can give us satisfaction and achievement. But the risk of developing mental illness can increase through a range of jobs, operational, and organizational factors, right? Of job, operational, and organizational factors. But here to keep you sane on the job is Associate Clinical Psychologist Sonia Winter, who's also the founder of Tea House Therapy, which I see sometimes on Instagram. Hi, Sonia. How are you?
Hi there, greetings. I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're happy to have somebody like you who can sort of keep our mental health in check. That's always a good it's always a good thing because I saw Jordan Peterson online doing some stuff, and sometimes I remember he said, life is hard. And I remember I remember thinking, why is this guy who has seen so many different things and worked with people, why would that be sort of his very definitive conclusion about just you should take your life is hard. So I suppose that's it. Life can be hard.
Mhm.
um and sometimes, and though I think this is changing, we often get accused, or Jamaica often gets characterized as a place that doesn't pay a lot of attention or value people's mental health, right?
Mm.
And so we sometimes dismiss, you know people feel away, or we can't quite figure it out. It's not something in the fabric of our society. But my question that I want you to help us to navigate today, to start off with, how do you tell when you're having a mental health issue?
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. So, well, mental health, why don't we say what it is first? Mental health is like physical health. All of us have it. And the same way that we want to ensure our bodies are functioning well, we want to ensure that our emotions, our thoughts, and our behaviors kind of interlock well in the same way. So, to the extent that one of those three domains is what I call them, our emotions feel terribly overwhelming to us, whatever those difficult emotions are, or our thinking somehow is impaired by how we're feeling. We can't concentrate, we're not making good decisions, we're forgetful, we are catastrophizing, that sort of a thing. We know that our thinking is being affected by how we feel, and then
Right.
sometimes we make decisions that don't serve us as well in response to how we're thinking and how we're feeling.
Right.
So mental health is addresses how those three domains intersect, as it were. So if you're noticing that you're for more than say 2 weeks at a time, your mood is really low, you're going through some really difficult emotions, you're feeling a tremendous sense of paralyzing sadness, you're feeling continuously anxious, you're feeling feelings of guilt or shame or embarrassment or worthlessness,
Hmm.
um, you're feeling like you don't even belong here, there's no point in being here, so you're thinking about harming yourself in some way. So if you notice that any of those sort of ways of thinking is characterizing the way you're thinking, you know that there's a mental health concern that you're confronting.
Hmm.
Okay. Also, if you're noticing that over and over and over, as a result of how you're thinking and how you're feeling, some of the decisions that you're making are not serving you.
Got
in
it.
the long term.
Mhm.
Again, that there is a mental health concern that you probably need help to address.
In your line of work, thank you for that sort of walking us through bit by bit there, Sonia. In your line of work, do you often encounter people having a lot of mental health challenges at work? Is that a common thing?
Oh, for sure. I mean, work is not special, eh? Quite often we have mental health challenges in response to some stressor, or many stressors, or the coincidence of many stressors.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's stressors that hit us from our past that get triggered, and we respond to them again as if they're happening today, or they're influencing us in some way. But how the condition of our mental health is really how are we coping with the different stressors that happen in our life. And of
Mm.
course, as you said earlier, we spend a great deal of our time at work, and
Right.
work can be a place of tremendous stress for many, many people. And for that reason, how we respond to the stress that we encounter at work can have an effect on our mental health
Is there
state, as it were.
is there anything that, for example, culturally we may do that could contribute to those kind of stresses? I mean, I say something like somebody saying no, like, oh, I need a mental health day, and how because that's sort of just coming into our psyche, into our cultural understanding of how life works. People could quickly dismiss something like that. So, yeah, mental health day. And so it's stuff like that I'm talking about. In other spaces where something like a mental health day is treated as a serious thing, and the idea that somebody's mental well-being is important to the organization, that they would happily respond to something like that, whereas we might not at this point, at least. Are there any other regular, normal cultural things that, as employers, we may not be as aware, but they really create stresses for employees? Anything common?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot, you're speaking about culturally, but if you would allow me to use the word culture in a slightly different way, the truth is organizational culture can be one of the most significant or profound stressors to individuals. And by and large, it's the employer that has responsibility for cultivating the nature of the culture in an organization. Okay.
Mhm.
So if the culture is one where individuals don't feel valued as human beings, they just feel like what do you call it, a cog in a wheel. They're just
Right.
churning out a product of some sort, but the human being is not considered, or they don't feel valued as human beings. And that's as a result of the nature of the culture of the organization. Then that is going to create mental health concerns at work. If individuals don't feel they have a voice, they can't actively participate in whatever endeavors that they're in, their opinions don't matter, they don't have a sense of agency, that can affect their mental health. And the employers can have an influence on that as well, whether an employee has a voice in their own whatever they're engaged in at work. If the employee doesn't have a clear sense of what their role is, so they don't know, are they contributing in the right way, they don't have a sense of belonging or where they fit in the organization. Beings have a great need for belonging.
Okay, we seem to be having a little challenge with our connection there with Sonia. Uh, all right, so if you're just joining us, you're listening to Engage. It's your drive time entertainment and lifestyle choice right here on the Family Station Love 101. Okay, I think she's back. And we're talking with Sonia Winter, associate clinical psychologist and founder of Tea House Therapy. Sorry. And we were talking a little bit about workplace stresses, well, really mental health and the workplace, and she was walking us through. We lost you for a second there, Sonia, so I'm going to ask if you could repeat. I think she's gone.
Okay, am I back?
Yes.
Okay, my apologies.
Brilliant.
Yes,
No.
as I was saying, whether the employees feels a sense of belonging in the organization, and that has
Right.
to do with their roles. Do they know what their role is? How much their role is contributing to the endeavors, the objectives of the organization? Are they relevant and important? that can have an effect on them as well. And you see, all of the things that I'm describing are part of culture, of the
Yes,
organization
the
of
culture
culture,
of the
as
right,
it
right,
were,
right.
you know. Do individuals feel like they're listened to? If they have a concern, will it matter to anybody, you know? um
Right.
does the organization sort of follow through on their commitments to employees, you know? Organization all often speak about their vision, their goals, their objectives, and sometimes the lived experiences of employees do not align with those, with that vision, you know.
Right.
So
True.
the employee kind of feels a sense of hypocrisy or being cheated in a way, whilst they're
Right.
in the organization. So you can see that the organizational culture can have a tremendous effect on how the employee feels
Right, and their well-being. Just give me
and
one
their
second. Let's pay a bill and come right back.
Grace, celebrating 100 years of taste that moves you.
The time by Grace Foods is
601, folks, on the Sound of Love.
This is Engage. It's your drive time entertainment choice right here on the Family Station. We are having our minds fed by Sonia Winter, associate clinical psychologist and founder of Tea House Therapy. And we are talking today about mental health and the workplace. So somebody's listening now, Sonia, and they're thinking, okay, I now have to, I'm an employer. I might have a staff of, maybe a small staff complement or big or medium. And they probably never gave enough thought to that sort of thing. Yes, you may have some HR services making sure that people have all documentation and they get paid on time and things like that. But obviously there's so much more about maintaining that sort of mental health. But what if you decided that, okay, I want to focus on this now in my organization because I'm probably doing well and this would be good for my team.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get started? Is there some sort of mental health audit or something that you could do within the organization to temperature check where you are and set some goals about where you want to be with your people?
Mm-hmm. Ideally, in a perfect world, that's typically a part of the mandate of your HR department,
Yes.
that they have a sense of what the general morale of employees are, and you do that through different mechanisms. You can have, one-on-one kind of anecdotal conversations where you kind of gauge what employees are concerned about, or you can have formal surveys, that sort of a thing, that give you feedback. Although surveys are something that I would ask organizations to do advisedly, because there's a science to doing a survey and making sure that the information you're extracting from the survey is really useful and accurate and relevant, So typically that's the job of HR, but then also you have specialists as well, who come in and they have different interventions just to kind of check the pulse of the organization and to find out, what is creating the greatest distress for employees, what is the greatest demotivator, or what are the priorities that are of concern and are making how are employees feeling and what's making them feel that way.
Are there any simple things that you could when I say simple, I'm not trying to suggest that it's simple to maintain this, but are there any easy to implement ideas that an organization could onboard to help maintain a good kind of well-being in their environment? Anything you could propose at this time?
Yeah, I think to the extent that the people managers within the organization are well trained to have ongoing interactions with their direct reports. Okay. Quite often you have strong leaders at the top of the organization, or sometimes you don't, but more often the stronger leaders rise to the top of the organization, but they're really depending on the people managers, the team managers below them, to ensure that their finger is on the pulse of what's happening with employees. So I think making sure that those individuals within the organization who are people managers have the requisite skills to be supportive, to be inclusive, to be to ensure that they're modeling, ethical and respectful behaviors, for example, that they are, dealing with conflict well, that sort of a thing. I mean, that's often a position within the organization that is overlooked, but that's really where you're going to stay closest to your employees, So I think that may be one of the first places to start, making sure that your team managers have the requisite skills to be able to be sensitive to what's happening within their team, and then have the tools to be able to, make that their team at least operate in a more healthy way.
All right. Where could we find you, Sonia?
Okay, I'm at Tea House Therapy. We're on in social media at Tea House Therapy. We're also, you can find us, our office numbers. We're open Monday to Saturdays. And our office number is 876-823-5897. Also, we have a website, teahousetherapy.com.
Right.
And you can direct messages from all of those sites as well.
Okay. Thank you so much. Sonia Winter, Associate Clinical Psychologist and founder of Tea House Therapy, sharing with us about workplace mental health and, the work and your mental well-being. Thanks for those tips and ideas, Sonia. And hopefully somebody who was listening and needs some additional support can reach out to Tea House Therapy at 823-5897 or to your website and get some help. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Whether it's strolling down the scene or street, okay, the scene. Oh, as in the, is that scene as in the French? Is it scene or scene? Or pressing your nose against the patisserie window, French desserts never fail to tantalize. Really, for centuries, the French have been perfecting their baking skills, somehow turning sugar and eggs into works of art. There are several different categories that fall under the banner of French sweet treats, and today, owner of La Macaron Pastries, don't know why I should have the person pronounce it, because I don't know that I know French at all. So I am going to ask Salima Barclay, who's going to share some of the share some of those French treats, as we said earlier, about in recognition of International Dessert Day. Good evening, Salima.
Hi, are you hearing me?
I am hearing you. So tell me, pronounce the name of your organization.
It's La Macaron.
Le Macaron.
Right. Pastries and desserts.
Le Macaron. Okay. Like the macaroon.
No, it's actually not like the macaroon, because the macaroon is actually made of coconut.
Like the French president, Emmanuel Macron?
No.
Well, his name is Macron, so that's a little bit different.
Yes. So, but tell us about the macaron.
All right, so the macaron is actually made with almond flour, and it was supposedly started in Italy and brought over to France in the 1600s to celebrate. I'm forgetting her name now, but she was one of the French royalties, and that's where the product started.
And what inspired you to name your pastry business after that?
Well, when I went to France in 2015, and I actually did a course in patisserie, that was the first product that I got. I remember that class very well. We were instructed by our French tutor at the time. He's a French chef, and that was one of the products that we had to make. And I was the first one into the oven, out with the product. And, when I worked actually in France as well, the restaurant I worked at, we actually had to make desserts because I was in the pastry section, and that was a product they had on their Mignardi's menu. And so I had to do it every week. So it was a product that I literally had to do over and over again. And I thought, it would be good to name the business from something that I was really good at. And so I came back to Jamaica, and that's what I did.
And so before we go forward to talking about your business and how that's been doing and all the fantastic things, let's go back because you were in finance before you ended up in this thing.
Yes.
What was so terrible about finance that you needed to go get some
Actually,
sweet
I
tea so you
still am
could
in
move all the
finance.
way to-
I still am in finance. I haven't given it up at all, but I can tell you the story really that inspired me to really make that leap. I was working at J&B at the time, so they actually have an orientation session, and in the orientation session, there was a lady that presented on Joan Duncan, and when she presented on her, I never met the woman because she died before I started working there. She told us that Joan was this woman that whatever she said, she actually did. And for years, always loved food. I always loved cooking. I always loved baking, but I just did it privately, just for myself. And I thought, you can live your life and dream, or you can live your life and just do. Because life is living, and living is doing. And so I said, you know what? I'm just going to make this thing a reality. I'm going to literally take that leap of faith and go. And so I sold my apartment, sold my car, got all my money,
and moved to France.
Yep, did that.
Wow. Tell me how did that feel? Do you remember that back in 2015, 7 years
Yes,
ago?
I took a flight from Montego Bay to Germany, then to France. But unfortunately, my visa didn't start until the next day. So I had to spend one day in the airport, and I cried my eyes because I was just like, this is the worst start to, this experience. But actually it was right, because once I got to France, I literally felt at home. I studied French in high school. And so I picked up the little words that I kept from that time. And my transition was very easy. And I have this thing, and I don't know if people believe in these things, but I do, where there's a book that I read called The Power by Rhonda Byrne, I think. And in that book, she says, that you should try to find your little thing, whatever that is, that once you see it, you'll know that you're in the right place. So I've always chosen water because I love water. And where I was, literally, it's the south of France, and right beside where the school was and where I was living was this fantastic beach. So I was just like, you know what? I'm in the right place because my symbol is here, and the learning experience is tremendous. We had 2 chefs that are Michelin guide chefs, and also as well the work experience as well was really great, because the restaurant I worked at was a 3-4 chef Michelin guide restaurant. So the standard in terms of the recipes that I am aware of, or the recipes that we used, as well as the whole experience in terms of making sure that the products were fresh, everything was made from scratch. That's what I took away, and that's what I brought back with me to Jamaica.
And you set up, and you sent some stuff over for us to try. So in a little bit, I'm going to need you to tell me what I'm looking at. I see some colored stuff. There's green and red.
So those must be macarons, right?
Oh,
So
these are the things which your business is named.
Right. So I sent you vanilla, lemon, and strawberry.
So these are yours that you've made. I'm going to try the lemon. That's the green one is lemon, yes?
The yellow. I think the yellow is lemon, the red is strawberry, and the blue is vanilla.
Oh, this is blue. It's not green, it's blue. All right. So this is made by you, and I'm gonna try it now.
I hope you like it.
So
it's made with almond flour, so I hope you don't have any nut allergies, because
I don't.
The number 1 ingredient in macarons is actually almond flour.
And then there's like icing in between.
Right, that's correct. The filling is vanilla cream.
Which is quite lovely.
It's very sweet. All right, good. If your sweet tooth is,
I think it's nice.
Kind of. No, then if your sweet tooth is what do you call it? Teeth nedge, right? If it's nedging right now, you should definitely check out. So I'm seeing here the company made its mark. The first day of operation, and you've worked with the French embassy making what is it? Fête de Juillet?
Right. So that's their national holiday, and
Right.
I've done that for the last 6 years with them, except for the pandemic, which they didn't have any celebration for the 20 and 2021. So they did it this year, and actually, again, I'd worked with them.
All right. So what do you say? What would you say, apart from the French thing, sets your company apart? I mean, you're in Jamaica,
Mm-hmm.
and Jamaicans are a little tricky when it comes to the things they eat.
Right.
Right.
Correct. What I found success in is that people actually do want to try something new. So they do like the idea of being able to have an eclair or a Paris Bresse or a mousse cake. So our mousse cakes are actually something that we brought back from France to Jamaica. But also as well, what sets us apart is the fact that we have a lot of customers who have different intolerances. So there are persons who are lactose intolerant, persons who are gluten intolerant, persons who are vegan. So we have found that we've been able to actually cater for those persons who can't have dairy, who can't have wheat at all, or who want to really stay away from any animal-based product, but also have a good product. And
Right.
and all these techniques are techniques that I actually learned with recipes that I'd gotten when I was in France.
Brilliant. And then let me quickly, because we've got about 30 seconds. There's another thing you have here that looks like a small,
Fruit tart. So it's a tartlet.
okay, tartlet, and it's very light. It's not as the crust isn't as firm as I was expecting. It looks a little bit like a small pie.
It is a small pie, but it is a fruit tart, and it's made with a shortbread crust, and the filling is actually pastry cream or creme patisserie, and then we top it with fruits. And all of this is actually again made.
Oh yeah,
from
this one is really good. Not as sweet as the one before.
right,
The
and that's
fruits-
macarons. Macarons are
Very sweet.
the main ingredients in macarons literally is
This
egg
is really
white,
nice.
almond flour, and two types of sugar, which is granulated sugar and icing or powdered sugar. So the truth
So
is
you've
that
got some on top of this. You've got some kiwi strawberry. Is that that's a grape or that's
yes,
some other
that's
type
correct.
of berry?
It's a grape,
And
and
is that mango?
no, it's actually a mandarin.
Mandarin. Oh, yeah, that's good. This one is I like this one because it's not very sweet, but you still get a little bit of sweet, and you definitely get that fruity flavor. And so, where can people find you to taste these delicious items?
So we actually have our Instagram page, which the hashtag you can type in lemacaron77. That's LEMACARON 77, and you'll find us. And we actually don't have a storefront, so everything that we do is done to order. But you can email us at lemacaron77@gmail.com, or you can actually call us at 876-783-6102.
All right. Thank you so much, and congrats
What's the name of
on
this one again?
doing this. The tart one.
It's a fruit tart. It's
Fruit
a
tart.
fruit tart.
Fruit tart.
And it's actually one of the two products that I gave you are our two top selling products. So since I've been around, the macaron, I've done over 1 million macarons since
What?
I started. Yes,
Wow.
over 1 million macarons in Jamaica. So I'm really proud of myself.
As you
And-
should be. Congrats.
And it just shows that Jamaicans are really open to new product if it is that they
if you
like.
keep the quality up. Yes. Well, congrats on that, Salima Barclay. And she told you can find her online is Le Macaron 77
Correct.
on Instagram and so on.
Yes.
And you can place your orders and also enjoy these delicious desserts. Very sweet as well as not so sweet, but still delicious.
Thank
All
you
right,
so much.
Salima, take care.
All right, and bye.
So we look to the weekend and maybe not a lot happening, but Gospel Link Up presents Jamaica Family Fest. This happens tomorrow at the Harmony Beach in Montego Bay, also known on Monday 17th at the waterfront downtown Kingston. So take your family out for a day of fun and entertainment, and it's free. It's at 10 until 10. Okay, Sebastian Brea Ministry presents Jubilee Grand Concert. Grand Gospel Concert happens tomorrow at the Holiday Haven Resort in Runaway Basin, and there will be performances by Kevin Downswell, Patrick K. Joan Flemings, and more. That one's 2,000 going to get you in. 2,500 at the gate. 2,000 if you buy before. 2,500 at the gate. They got some VIP and so on. They start at 6:30. Okay. Pentecostal City Mission Church presents Zamar Worship and Prophetic Impartation. Okay, this one's gonna happen tomorrow at 11 to 15 Blount Street in Kingston. They said the admission is free, but they ask you to bring an offering if you want to.
Well,
6:30 is
the
when they
thing,
start.
the Sebastian thing, gates open at 6:30, showtime 7:30.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Glory Music presents its Fun in the Sun. This happens tomorrow at Pembroke Hall High School. And here with us to tell us more about the event, we've got brand champion for the community engagement of Fun in the Sun, Shakisha Cowan. Good evening, Shakisha.
Evening, Kalando. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's been like forever.
I know.
Right.
Imagine.
So this is your 20th anniversary of Fun in the Sun, and we've seen Fun in the Sun look very many different ways. I remember when it started in Ocho Rios, and then we've done the whole National Heroes Park. You've been to Portmore, you've been to New York. Fun in the Sun as a brand has really done all the stuff that it set out to do, bringing the word, bringing great entertainment. What are you going to do at Pembroke Hall for this 20th anniversary celebration?
So this is kind of just the kickoff of 20 years, eh?
Oh.
So we started off with our community engagement, which we've done before. We've done it in Portland and we've done it in Mandeville. And really what it is, it's Fun in the Sun, but it's very focused on a specific community. So this year we're focused on South St. Andrew. And of course, in the middle of South St. Andrew, we have Pembroke Hall. So we're at Pembroke Hall High School doing all of the things God has asked us to do, being his hands on the earth. So we're doing health services, dental, so we're doing health by Sagicor, they're doing the health check. But also what we're doing are medical and dental services. So it includes the check, but some additional services as well. So you might need a little thing done with your teeth, and this is a spot to get it done. In addition, we're taking care of your general health, not just acute issues. So Jamaica Moves is joining us to do exercise classes and teach us how to move and get our bodies going so that, as Christians, we can really be God's hands in the earth, because we all have these great calls on our lives, but we can't do it if we're not healthy. So, making our bodies its best and healthiest way that we can serve God and do what God has called us to do in the best way possible. And, of course, we're going to have the children are always taken care of at Fun in the Sun, the kids zone. We're going to have face painting, games, rides. We have, of course, as usual, we always have prayer and counseling, and that does include the children's village.
Right.
Sagicor is going to be there with some food giveaways, and of course, Best Dress will also be there with some food for the children's village. And what's going to be very interesting, and I hope everyone takes advantage of it, that can take advantage of it, and that's the JCF recruitment drive. So we're not just taking care of your health, we're also trying to make sure that you have an income and that you can keep a roof over your head and food in your belly and you can pay JPS.
Right.
So JCF, the police force, they are going to be checking people. If you want, you can go. As long as they're checking your qualifications, as long as you qualify, they'll sign you up and you can start training to become a police officer. And that can be in any area. It can be in IT, it can be in cybercrime, it can be in the canine team. There's so many ways that you can serve in the JCF. It's not just patrolling and charging people traffic tickets.
Right.
So we're going to be there. We're going to have games not just for the kids, but also games for grown folk in our sporting zone. And all of this, of course, is topped off with our concerts that will have Kevin Downs, Isabella Cardi David, Gotti, Isaiah Raymond, Perpetual Sounds of Praise. Our MC is the one and only Nadine Blair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my girl.
Yeah.
And of course, the word is being brought by Pastor Donnie McCurry. So he's going to preach.
Right. And
yes.
not quite singing the way that we normally, but he's been doing that. And so It's a nice day. The spiritual and well-being, physical and spiritual well-being as well as financial, because you talk about trying to get people jobs if they are interested in the JCF, and then, as you said, topped off with a nice concert in a way that only Fun in the Sun can do. Remind folks when, where, and what time as we pop out of this one.
Okay, well, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. to tomorrow night, 10 p.m., we will be at the Pembroke Hall High School. And that is Fun in the Sun community engagement brought to you by Decor, the Best Dressed Chicken, Water, True Juice, Big Up, the Ministry of Culture, Entertainment and Gender and Sport, Scott Creative Media, Lanneman and Morris, Shipping Company, the New Testament Church of God, Phoenix Printry, Jamaica Move, to the 8th Hawk Eye, New Era, Visual Vibe, of course, Love 101, Science Channel, KFC, Miss Birdie, Purity, we have no food, though. Miss Birdie, Purity, KFC, and we'll all be there. Come out, feed your heart, feed your soul, and get healthy, get ready, because God has a great call on all of us, and we have to do our best to prepare for it.
There you go. Shakisha Cowan, the brand champion for community engagement of Fun in the Sun, talking to us about the 20th anniversary edition of Fun in the Sun, which is going to take place at Pembroke Hall High School tomorrow, starting at 10 in the morning. At 5 o'clock is the concert, folks, and that one's going to be big with all the acts she mentioned. Gotti, Carlene, Kevin. Did you say Kevin?
Yes, I said Kevin.
And
Kevin
Donnie
has
McClurkin.
every version of Fun in the Sun, by the way.
Right. So how could he not, right?
Version.
Every version. Also, he's also celebrating his 20th year of being on Fun in the Sun, right? And Donnie McClurkin with the word. Shakisha, wishing you all the best. I'm sure it's going to be great. Community thing straight through to 10 o'clock. It's 10 to 10 tomorrow. All right. Okay, and our upcoming events is sponsored by SpurOpen.com, because that's the last one we're going to tell you about. Spur Open is a Jamaican online platform designed to simplify online payments for charities, churches, event organizers, and micro business owners. Then, if you want to register your event, go to SpurOpen.com/events, then click the button that says Get Started. Now, your event is the registration is free. You don't even have to have a paid event to join. So we go from thanking Spur Open straight through to your world of music. If you're just joining us,